The biggest lie in the US-China trade war wasn't told with a missile, it was told with a tiny, innocent beam. A few weeks ago, the US-China trade truce promised hope, saying China would buy massive amounts of US soybeans. This was supposed to be the sign that the trade war was finally over for the American farmer. But here's what they didn't tell you. The financial analysis as of November 17, 2025 confirms the shipment volume is a joke and that the US farmers are still losing. The promise was not an agreement, it was a strategic weapon. Stay with me. If China made a promise, what is the $421 million problem facing US farmers right now? And why is this soybean lie designed to give Beijing permanent control over American politics? The soybean lie can be broken down into 3 critical failures. We are going to prove that China has already won the trade war using simple market leverage. Now, for the first failure, let's start with the hard evidence of the lie, the shipments themselves. The agreement promised to move massive volumes of US soybeans, but the November 17th analysis confirms that China is only making token purchases. They have already stockpiled a huge surplus of soybeans from Brazil and Argentina. Stay with me, I will explain why China's massive storage warehouses are the true cause of the American farmers' pain. The shady part is that China is just buying enough to keep the truce alive, but not enough to actually help the US soybean prices. This means that while the White House is announcing a deal, the reality in the American farm sector is a persistent soy meal price drop, confirming the purchases are just an illusion. Now, for the second failure, which is China's remote control. The second failure reveals why this is a political game, not a trade deal. China has successfully taken the remote control over US agriculture. Before the trade war, the US was China's only major soybean supplier. Now, China has fully diversified its supply chain to South America and Russia, achieving its goal of never relying on the US again. Don't worry, in a minute you will understand the critical strategic advantage this gives Beijing. Now, because China already has full warehouses of soybeans, they can now choose when to buy or stop buying from the US. Let that sink in. They can now choose when to buy or stop buying from the US. They can use a large temporary purchase to influence a political election or a small purchase to punish US policy. As an opinion piece noted, China now holds the remote control in soybean diplomacy. The US gave up its supply dominance for a meaningless truce. Now, for the third failure, the permanent loss. We saved the most valuable, most critical part of this loss for the last, the permanent damage done to the US dominance. The greatest value China gained from the trade war wasn't lower tariffs. No, it was a strategic independence in food supply. This is a case of a superpower hedging against a future war. Now, the failure is this. By the time the truce was signed, the damage was already irreversible. US farm investment has been depressed for years, and China's new global supply chains are locked in. The $421 million problem, which is the estimated annual loss in global market share, is not a temporary dip. It's a permanent cost of doing business for the American farmer. Now, you just saw the 3 parts of the soybean lie. The promised shipments are just an illusion. China now has a remote control over US politics, and the US has accepted permanent loss of its market dominance. This is the new economic reality. One-way trade is not about fairness, but strategic deception. If you want to understand how seemingly small deals can hide massive geopolitical losses, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell button. And as you might have already guessed, this is a new creator. I'm a new creator trying to grow. So the best you can do to support me is by subscribing and liking the video. And if you've made it this far into the video, I want to say thank you very much and see you in the next one. Bye.